Is this, hello? Am I live? I can't prove to myself that this is live yet, so I could just be talking to I think I'm just talking to myself. Am I? Oh, yeah, that means I need to turn it down. Right. Hey, all right. Hey, hello. What do I do with my hands? What do I do? If you get that reference, then you'll also understand me saying that if you ain't first, you're last. What a movie. What a movie. This is nothing to do with the stream. So welcome to the stream, boys. This is for you. Obviously, this is number 3. I'm trying to get a little bit more comfortable with the idea of not having to say every time that this is for my sons, my 2 sons, my 6 and 3-year-old son. Maybe I'm just going to start talking to the camera about, in a way that that is just addressing you directly. Let's do that. In the meantime, I think last night my levels were way too high, my auto gain. So I'm just going to switch this. Hang on, I'm still looking at myself on the camera, and I want to get to a point where I'm not doing that. So let me just turn that off. Okay. Right. So I need this up a little bit. Okay. So this is now, I face you, which means this is up to an angle. Sorry if that's touching you, touching your eardrums. Right. I might do auto gain and just see. Last night, I think it was way too loud. So now this is in the right position. I've got my aura on. The aura is the thing that this microphone has, the Lewitt Ray. How confident do I feel that I could put the camera back? Yeah, look, if you come around the back here, hello, then you will see boop, 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 this here. It says aura, except it's upside down, so I'm going to turn you upside down. Now you're upside down, which means I'm upside down. Ah, help! Ah! Okay. If this really is for my sons, they will love that. Maybe not in 20 years when you're watching it, but a good gag's a good gag. So it says aura. You can't probably see what it says. Oh, God, I haven't got the proprioception for this. Oh! This is a cool experiment. Just here, see this little flashing light that you're seeing? I don't see that in real life. I do not see that in real life. I think that's LiDAR. Like, there's radar. I think this one's called LiDAR. And this is how this whole system works. It doesn't use like plugins to make this happen, this proximity thing happen. So so see how the bar just moved there? Oh my God, I can't make this. I'm going to turn it right way up again. Now it's doing the same thing I'm doing. Okay, so see how like I'm really close. So the bar that means it's reading me as being really close with this LiDAR bouncing back and forth to the camera and back. So it's not basing it on me, it's basing it on the camera. The camera is what it's hitting. So that's what it's going to read off. Now I'll move back and it's saying I'm that far back now. Back even further. I can't get the camera back any further. Okay, see, because there's a cord. It's just a cheap, dodgy webcam. But yeah, that is basically it. If I go further away, it will make the volume louder. And if I go closer, it will make the volume quieter. It'll reduce the gain and adjust the gain in general. Now, can I put this back? I have noticed that whenever I'm like doing something technical, I watched one of these back from the other day. And every time I'm doing something where I'm not looking directly at the screen or thinking about what I'm saying or what I'm doing, I get this kind of old man constipated look on my face. If I continue doing these much into the future, I imagine that future me will hate me saying that I feel old now or look old now. That's one thing life has taught me, is that as you get older, like the reminiscing starts pretty early. For, for me, I remember turning 10 and walking home. This is like, get used to the rant, boys. Oh, yeah, no, hang on. We'll just do the auto gain and then we'll do the rant. Okay, hold that thought. 10. 10 years old. Okay, so I'm going to talk now. I'm just adjusting the auto gain. It's got to hear my voice for a little bit. And then once it's done that, then it will know what volume to put the microphone. Okay, that should be it there. Okay, it should have adjusted it. And I'm probably a little bit louder. Okay, so when I turned 10, I can minimize that. I remember walking home from my school. It's about a 15-minute walk if I was really quick. And if I stopped at the comic book store, what was it called? Comics Haven, I think, which was literally on my way home. Like I walked past the front door just to get home. It wasn't like I had to go out of my way. So I wasn't like a really massive, I mean, I don't think I was a massive comic book kid. I think I read whatever was in front of me, which included comic books. Okay, now that I've got this going, I can turn off the big camera on the screen. I don't want to look at myself on the screen. I feel like I'm talking to me, which is down here. I want to talk to you up there. I still have yet to get a photo of you guys and put it just up here. I was thinking of doing something creepy, like getting a photo of you guys and just cutting a hole where your eyes were and putting you over the camera, so I'm looking at you, but the camera. But I felt a little bit Hannibal Lecter-ish, like from thinking that. So maybe I won't cut holes in the eyes of your picture. I don't know. So I was walking home on my 10th birthday, didn't stop at the comic book store, I don't think that day, but that's probably how I got interested in comic books, stopping at that comic book store. And I remember thinking, like, I'm never going to be single digit again, you know? And it was such a, I thought, like, wow, until I'm 100, and then it'll change again, but until then I will always be double digit. What kind of 10-year-old thinks that? It turns out, I actually think that a lot of kids think really, every kid is in their own head just as much as any adult. And if you can't remember that as an adult, boys, I'm telling you now, like you guys are in your own head already at 6 and 3. You are thinking, you can tell you guys are thinking you're having these really profound moments, like where you're just realizing stuff or really probing ideas about life and yourself. And yeah, it's great. It's great. And I remember feeling that way when I was 10. And I remember going, geez, I remember when I was 5. Half my age, half my life ago, wow. And I remember how easy everything was. I was in preschool and mum and dad were still together and blah, blah, blah. To be honest with you, like that bit of it, the whole mum and dad thing still together. My parents, interesting, when they split up / got divorced eventually after like a year of being split, I just remember being really relieved. It just seemed like the best thing for it. My mum seemed a lot happier for a start, and that was really important to me. And yeah, us 3 siblings, yeah, I think reacted relatively differently. I don't know what your uncle felt about it, actually. I've never asked him, actually. But your auntie at the time was pretty distraught about it, stressing. But like she was at a different age. Like we were like very young compared to her. She's 5 years older than me. But I just remember her dealing with it differently to us, and like probably really like in a very functional way, like not dysfunctional at all. Like her reaction was probably completely normal. Ours was probably the weird reaction, like where I was like, huh, great. You know, this will solve a lot of problems. So yeah. Anyway, I started reminiscing about being younger then, and I think back now, I'm like, geez, 10, you know, I just had no, you know, you always kind of go, I had no idea what was coming. And no matter how old I get, every time I look back about 5 to 10 years, I'm always like, oh, I just had no idea. Like, and I had it so easy, and I was so young, and like now I'm hitting pre-middle age kind of. I was talking to another dad outside the school gate this afternoon when I was picking up you older from after school care, and I was like just having a chat, and I said, "Oh, you're looking well. How about you? You're looking well." And he said like, "Oh, I'm just I'm doing okay. Like my body's just breaking because I'm middle aged now." And I was like, "Yeah, I feel that. Yeah." Like everything just seems to start. Like you can tell, like as a former sporty person, like really sporty at one point, but generally fit-ish person, uh, I tend to notice that I don't heal as quickly from injuries and just day-to-day stuff. And it's as simple as that. But also stuff like I get brain fog now, and I suppose like there's all these arguments around like, is that the physical side of things, me aging? Is it the lack of sleep from not only this, but also from just parenting? And I generally don't sleep as well as I did when I was younger. Or is it social media? Is it the scrolling? I'm no different to a lot of other parents our age, I don't think. Your mother and I, we scroll a lot. If we ever told you that we didn't use social media a lot, I mean, we're lying, and you know we were lying because you're not silly. We spend way too much time on our phones. We should use them a lot less. We try our best, especially when we're around you. We try not to, but I don't think we succeed all the time. And yeah, that's a shame. We're really trying. But we are definitely not the only parents who are in this trap. Right. So, yeah, my point is reminiscing. Yeah. When I'm 10 years older and if I haven't deleted the whole channel out of like just self-prescribed shame, nothing is wrong with what I'm doing. But I just, I go through these little shame spirals every now and then in self-consciousness. And I definitely think there is a possibility that I have toyed around with the idea of deleting all YouTube ventures and social media ventures and online presence stuff that I have visibly out in the public. Um, yeah, not because I'm famous or I've come under harsh criticism or anything like that. Look at me. Like, I'm sitting in a pallet wood box, um, from free scrap wood, sweating my butt off. Oh, yeah, what is the temperature now, by the way? Well, it's already spiked up here to 20, nearly 29 degrees. I'll just pop this. You probably can see that better than me. And let's start turning that there. Yep. I need to hang it somewhere where you can see it as well. Yeah, but I have toyed with the idea on some days of just deleting everything. I haven't quite figured out yet if I'm going to do that or not. But if I am still around in 10 years, or I've left it and I've kind of quit the idea of doing this, then I'll look back and I'll be like, geez, you were in your late 30s? You were doing well, my friend. Like that was before your arm got cut off because of that staph infection, because of all the, I don't know, because you were digging in the garden and you didn't wash your hands afterwards, and then you got a staph infection and you got your arm amputated or something like that. And nothing would surprise me anymore. I would be unhappy, but literally nothing would surprise me anymore. Before I did my knee, my ACL, you could not have convinced me that long distance running would be a sport where you could snap your ACL. But here we are. And that keeps proving itself to me. Like, without trying to sound doom and gloom, I'm really not. I use it as a motivational tool, but I just literally tell myself on bad days, on days that I find it hard to find truly positive things, which is actually pretty easy now that we've got you guys in our lives, like, and your mother and I, like, we're fine, but it's just some days are tricky, just with life in general. You guys are always a bit of a shining beacon for us. No matter what's happened that day, it's always great to come home and hang out with you guys. Yeah. But on days that are challenging, I just literally always just go, oh, it could always get worse. And it can. It can. Uh, yeah, we are extremely lucky. We have enough stability. This sounds cliche even in our day and age, but I appreciate it nonetheless. We are extremely lucky to live in a place and in a time where I can um, come to the same place every night and have a constant supply of electricity and internet and a bottle of clean, potable water, you know, um, that I know isn't going to make me sick. So, I mean, I know that this is really basic expectations in 2026, but for the large majority of people on Earth, one of those things isn't guaranteed all the time. So I just try and treasure every gulp and every breath and every minute I get to spend with you guys, with your mother, with family, with friends. Yeah, it's just not. It's not the kind of existence that you should ever really not feel grateful to exist. And that sounds pretty old school, and I sound a little bit more like my parents the older I get. Um, I don't get me wrong, I'm pretty nihilistic about everything. And pretty cynical. Refer to last stream about leaving a grain of salt on the bread, or leave a little salt on the bread. Having a healthy dose of cynicism, not cinnamon, cynicism. Cinnamon good too on bread, but cynicism and a backup plan in case things don't go out. You know, always an exit plan. Always plan your exit on the way in. That's what what's his name? Luthen says in Andor, in like episode 2 of Andor, I think, 2 or 3. Yeah. Even though I'm that cynical and nihilistic about existence and us, I'm also really, yeah, just grateful. So that's not me choking up, that's me trying to suppress a burp. But, like, it does choke me up sometimes. There's a scene in American Beauty, this movie, that is, I do not think I have watched it in about 15 years since I realized just how it's like, it's got Kevin Spacey in it. Kevin Spacey's a lech. Um, and like he's a dodgy character in the film. Not to, like, it's supposed to be this emancipation of this middle-aged guy. It's got several story arcs, like character arcs, but like his character arc is as the protagonist, I guess, as the person who, spoiler, dies. Um, it's like his emancipation from a 9 to 5 drudgery and an unhappy marriage and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, my dad loved it when he saw it in the cinema. Came home and told me all about it. When would that have come out? Because he was really keen on telling me all about that. American Beauty release date. Jesus, 1999. So, which means, so he would have seen it in 1999 in the cinema. He came home ranting about it. Like he loved it. And the scene that he loved was this scene here with this girl on the ceiling. And it's like basically the Lolita aspect of it, like Lolita, the literary, you know, the book, or the movie, if you're into the movie, you know, where he's fantasizing about, it's just so inappropriate. It's just like so lechy. He's fantasizing about his daughter's friend. It's just, it's not for me. Anyway, but as a kid, like he came home and ranted to me about it, and I wasn't even in high school yet at that point, and he got me to watch it, and he watched it like anyway. Yeah, I can't remember what we're talking about, but like, there is a scene in that that's really famous. One of the character arcs is the daughter of that guy, the main character, and she goes out with the new neighbor's son, I think, And he's this really like good-looking introverted guy who just carries a video camera around. And in my day, we would call him emo, um, which is just someone who has like heightened emotional awareness and is kind of a bit artistic and everything's a bit, you know. And there's a whole subculture that goes along with that. And yeah, I'm probably emo, I guess, by the definition of what an emo is. I never dressed in black and dyed my hair black and wore mascara or anything like that. But it definitely, yeah, the subculture resonates with me. uh, yeah. So there's a scene with this guy in it, and uh, he's sitting with the daughter of the main character in their rumpus room, their den, or wherever you like their TV room, and he's like, "Let me play you these videos," and like he's just like so intense, like he's like, yeah, like in a really casual, intense kind of way, and he's like, um, he shows her this video, very famous video, of a floating plastic bag, a bag of plastic bag floating in the wind, and he's just like. It, and she's just like, oh, it's beautiful, and he's like, oh, it's beautiful, and he says something like sometimes I think there's so much beauty in the world that like my heart's going to explode or something like that. And I'm just like, I remember at the time just being like, yeah, that's so profound. And then growing up and getting to this certain stage of like late 20s, maybe mid 20s, I don't even know. And just being like, like not everything has to be this deep and profound. Like you don't have to be hyper aware of everything that's around you and how beautiful it is. Like, you know, I catch myself like literally looking at wind, like blowing leaves in a tree, and I'm like, yeah, man, that's what it's all about. Like this is beautiful, you know? And I despise myself for it a lot of the time. And I do wonder if there's like a certain aspect of like spectrum-y type hyper awareness of stuff that's going on around me. Um, but yeah, stuff that people say stuff that people say. It sticks with me sometimes, like, and I just think about it way too much. I'm sure this is. I'm sure everyone does this to a certain extent, but I definitely there's something in me that just yeah, like a plastic bag floating in the wind. It is beautiful. It's also tragic. It's made of fossil fuels. It's made from dead animals and plants from millions of years ago, dug up from the Earth's crust just to be turned into this thing that can then go and kill plants and animals by just being itself. But on its way there, it goes through this beautiful, windy, I don't know, it goes through this beautiful moment where it manages to look beautiful and like the tragedy and the beauty all mixed together and blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to sound cynical, but this is like, yeah. Anyway, I definitely have an appreciation of that kind of stuff. I definitely also uh, will think that I was young and foolish and probably didn't appreciate my circumstance now. Even a year from now, I'll probably think that. So don't feel bad for reminiscing, but do understand that you are now at this very moment. I'm bringing it back around now. See, I'm bringing it back around to like what I was talking about before, about half an hour ago, probably. You're currently living in the in the past that you will romanticize and reminisce. That never stops for me. I wonder if it will ever stop for anyone else. Don't forget that it was never as good at the time as you think it is, as you think it was. Um, you're romanticizing it, and but that's also not a bad thing. But it's nice to be able to look back on the past and remember the good things. But just remember alongside that, like be aware alongside that remembering process, not to get caught in the trap that we as individuals and entire societies, communities, um, get caught in of thinking that everything was better because it was in the past. History is not a timeline from start to finish. In my point of view, it's not something that has a definite start and end. I feel like it's a bit more cyclical. I definitely think there are ebbs and flows to our history and repetitions that people just are aware of, but like when it comes to something they care about, they won't acknowledge, like what they see as their identity and their values and their beliefs and their attitudes. Can you tell your dad's a history teacher? Um, it's really interesting how people are aware of that fact until it applies to them and their emotional baggage that they carry into a situation. I just want you to be aware that the past is there to be remembered, learned from, romanticized, reminisced about, but just remember, like, it's just, you are living currently, like I said, in a time that you will, in the future, reminisce about and romanticize. So just remember that things can always get worse. Enjoy. I'm trying not to say things like live in the moment, be the change you want to see, feel grateful for what you have, because to me, it's so cliche. Uh, but things are cliche for a reason, because there's usually a nugget of truth that is undeniable at the heart of every cliche, even if it's not what you think it is. But there is a reason that we say things like that, and um, especially in times when you might be feeling down. I'm sorry if you've had a bad day or year or experience. Just it's nice to know that you've had tough times in the past and you can look back on them now because you got through them. And it seems so easy now to say, of course I was going to get through that. Or to know how you got through it. You can take that for granted. You go, well, of course I got through that because mum helped me do this, or my girlfriend, or my boyfriend, or my friend, or my teacher, or whoever, my colleague, my running mate, for example, helped me get through, or I saw this one thing online. It's easy to take that for granted. Know that you're feeling bad now. Maybe if you push through, you will look back on this one day and you will get through this. Use what you need to get through it. And like we say to you now, when you're 6 and 3 years old, do what you got to do. But just as long as you're staying safe and healthy as possible, and those around you are staying happy and healthy and safe because of your decisions. Okay. It's going to be okay. It will be. Like, you're going to be all right. Let's move on. On my YouTube channel, the one that we're on right now, Boring Dad Sleep Stories, there are, wait a minute, rip boop. I'm just going to open up a second one. And I can't remember what her name is. Is it Marissa? I could be getting that wrong. Marissa? Sorry if I am. You've left me comments. You left me a comment yesterday on a previous story that I narrated. And the channel is called Read Weird Stuff With Me. And her name is Marissa. She's pretty cool. She's really into public domain texts like we do on this channel. And she suggested... Oh, she was talking about the Big Trip Up Yonder by Kurt Vonnegut. She commented on that video and she said she's been a big Vonnegut fan for many years, and Cat's Cradle is probably in her top 10 novels of all time, but Breakfast of Champions is another contender. I'll be honest, I've never heard of those, but if it's by Kurt Vonnegut, it's got to be good. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm like, I think I'm a bit of a Vonnegut fan. And she said, I said, like, thanks for the suggestion. Oh, thanks for, yeah, and if you have, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. thank you for the suggestions. And she said, anytime. And if you're looking for more shorter pieces, Harrison Bergeron is a good one. Harrison Bergeron. So today, we're going to try and find some Harrison Bergeron. I'll take a recommendation. Harrison Bergeron. Let's do it. So we're going to go and try and find him in Project Gutenberg to start with. It's always a good place to start because it is where, heaps of good stuff is. Bergeron. Let's see. No records found. Okay, we'll try the Library of Short Stories. Okay. Right. Discover. Browse the library. Discover. Here we go. Okay. How do I search? Sounds silly, but I actually don't know how to search. Maybe browse the library. There we go. All right. Bergeron. No results. I'm going to say Bergeron. Bergeron story. Harrison Bergeron. Oh, okay. So that's the name of the text, not the name of the author. So it's a Kurt Vonnegut short story. First published in 1961, set in the year 2081. Sorry, I'm just scratching. It's itchy because it's getting a bit warm. I'm wearing this shirt that your auntie made me years ago. Now, as you can see, it's looking pretty rough. And if you don't know yet what this book is, boys, I'm just going to try and move it up. You're getting a nice crotch shot there. Sorry about that. Don't panic, it says. And you got the whale, and then over here you've got the flower pot. And that is, of course, from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is rad. Hang on, let's see if I got that. Oh, crikey, I can't get this to do what I want it to do now. How do I get this? Oh, no. There we go. Voila. Does that work? Whoa. Okay, that'll do. So, Harrison Bergeron. Can I find Harrison Bergeron in a way that is public domain? Because the fact that it's not on either Kurt Vonnegut. Let's just search for Kurt Vonnegut and see what Kurt Vonnegut stories there are. Kurt Vonnegut. So those two are his only ones on this channel, on this website. So let's go back to here. Vonnegut. Here we go, 1922. Okay. So the reason we can't access this is because it's not public domain. So he must have... I know that these two are. And no wonder these are the two that I've read, because this obviously means that they are not copyright. They're in the public domain. But Harrison Bergeron obviously isn't. So, sorry, Marissa, I can't read that just yet. But if we hang around, when did he die? 2007. So I've just got to wait 95 years from 2007. Totally. So, 74 years to go. 76 years to go? I don't know. I won't be around when that's in the public domain by the sounds of it. Oh well. So, unless it's in the public domain in Australia, we'll have to look it up another time. So let's just see. Let's do it this way. Is there a way? Reading lists. Fiction, Emmys picks, all reading lists. What am I after here? Am I after some humor or horticulture or... Wow. Look at Project Gutenberg. Look at all these categories, all these genres. Are these genres? I guess type. Genre is a type. What's the actual definition of genre? What is it French for? Genre, a category. There you go, category. Originating from the French word for kind or sort, ratted, probably on my mind because we've got a mouse in the house at the moment we're trying to get rid of. Rooted in Latin genere. Genere. Genere? Yeah. Similar to gender or genus. Ah, of course. That's pretty cool. Maybe one day we should learn some more Latin roots, guys. Oh, Latin roots are great. Let's find. I mean, could we just go to sci-fi? We could just stop pretending we're going to look up anything else. I'm in the mood these days for sci-fi. It's great. Science fiction. Science fiction by women. Science fiction by women. I used to have this stereotype in my head about, it was stereotypical, about how more in touch and better a character comes from, in touch with their own emotions and all that stuff, a character in sci-fi written by women is than men. I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe it's exclusive to that split. I don't think that split is exclusive to men and women. I think it's more to do with, all these other factors. Look at all these ones. Displaying results. Display by popularity. So we're saying this is the most popular. Yeah, of course, Frankenstein by Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. Mary Shelley. Not in the mood to read an entire. I mean, I know it's not that long, Frankenstein, but it's also too long for tonight. Frankenstein or Modern Prometheus is there still in another form. Astounding Stories of Super Science, December 1930. Okay. Astounding Stories of Super Science, December 1930 by Various is a collection of science fiction short stories likely compiled during the early 20th century. The anthology features vivid and imaginative tales centered around themes of science, adventure, and the fantastic, appealing to readers with an interest in speculative fiction. I am that reader. The stories are penned by leading writers of the time, promising a range of thrilling narratives that delve into extraordinary scientific hypotheses and surreal scenarios. The opening of the anthology presents a story titled Slaves of the Dust by Sophie Wenzel Ellis, which features Hale Oakham, a young scientist on a quest to uncover the secrets of a mysterious Brazilian tribe called the Angapuks. Okay. The narrative introduces us to Hale as he navigates the foreboding jungle of a mysterious Brazilian tribe called the Angapuks. As he navigates the foreboding jungle and encounters magical elements suggesting deep themes of life, death, and the interplay between science and nature, the tension escalates with the appearance of Sir Basil Addington, an eccentric figure whose experiments in biochemistry have transformed the Angapuks and led to the creation of bizarre creatures. I don't know about that one in particular, but let's see what other stories we have. I don't know, I just get a bad vibe from anything that starts talking about primitive peoples. I just don't have a need for it in my life unless I really want to. Ooh. I do like the sound of the Pirate Planet because, if you boys remember, I love Treasure Island and I love Treasure Planet, the movie Treasure Planet, the Disney movie. Yeah. Oh, freak. Freak? I meant to say fuck. But I was like, I think I'm trying to put censors on myself. But Jesus, yeah, no, I love Treasure Planet. Okay. Pardon me. Grey denim, the blood of the Van Dorns ran in Carl's veins. He rode the skies like like an avenging god. The Ape Men of Xlotli. No, thank you. The Reader's Corner? A meeting place for readers of astounding stories. What's that? Is that like a... Dear Editor, after comparison with various other magazines which specialize in the publication of science fiction, we, the Scientific Fiction Library Association of 1457 First Avenue, New York City, have found that your magazine, Amazing Stories, publishes stories to which the term literature may be applied in its real sense. A fine example of this. Oh, yeah, cool. So these are like letters to the editor. Wow. That's pretty cool. Dear Editor, this is my first letter to your magazine, and right away I'm asking for a pair of sequels. One of these is To the Moon Master by Charles W. Diffin. These sad endings depress me greatly, but if I looked at the ending first to see whether or not it was sad, it would ruin the story. And besides, sad endings usually have good stories in front of them. True. The other sequel I want is From the Ocean's Depths by Sewell P. Wright, and its sequel Into the Ocean's Depths. Cool. They're a fan. They just say later on that they didn't like it. They didn't dislike a single story. Okay, so this is a regular magazine. On sale the first Thursday of each month. Wow. Awesome. I wonder when this went until. Astounding Stories of Super Science. Let's look it up. Astounding Stories, of Super Science. It was published, here's the first year of Astounding Stories in 1930. It was published in the USA in 1930 without a copyright notice. This is 12 complete issues with a few of the advertisement pages missing. Some of the small fonts are unreadable in these scans. Okay. Oh, wow. Look at that photo. Not photo, that cover. That's crazy. Look. Punching a big old, like, sci-fi bug, alien bug. Oh, that's mad. And of course, like, there's got to be a damsel in distress in a fur slip. Sure. I shouldn't be so critical of it. Like, that was just the thing. But, yeah. The Pirate Planet. Slaves of the Dust. Grey Denim. The Ape Men of Slotterly. I like the name Slotterly. I don't really like the term ape men. It's never a good sign. Okay. The Pirate Planet. Now, I have a special little attachment on Google here, up the top where you can't see, and it's called Web Page Word Counter. So I will just see what the word count, so you can highlight anything on a web page. That's roughly right. La 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 la. Whoa. When do you end? Okay, right, the Sea Terror. Okay, here we go. Oh, and it says to be continued. Wow. Now I click on the little button and it'll tell me how many words. Oh. 15,000. I don't have that time. I do have a late start to work tomorrow. But it's not that late. 15,000 words would be, maybe I need to start doing, what do you reckon, boys? I probably need to start, I need to be more, like, proactive in getting longer stuff done. I also need to start doing, like, one chapter of Hardy Boys per recording, and just start getting through the latest Hardy Boys that I'm doing. I think it's the, is it the Shore Road Mystery or something? The Shore Road, something to do with cars getting stolen around Bayport. And I'm up to only about chapter 3. And there's like another 20 chapters to get through. So anyway, look, why don't we go to sci-fi? Where's sci-fi? I think I'm just in the mood for sci-fi at the moment. A Guest of Ganymede is apparently just amazing. So how long is that? 8,000. It's just a little outside of my. I need to talk less at the start of the stream, don't I? I kind of like doing it though. It's fun. 5,977. I want like 3,000. The Nothing Equation by Tom Goodwin. Hey, 2,930 words. Okay, published in 1957 in Amazing Stories, Volume 32, Number 12. This story has a recommendation. Oh, whoa. Okay, let's read the short review by Evan C. Lewis, who is the person who started this website. And Evan, you're a bloody legend. You're a fucking legend, mate. You're another Australian out there doing your bit for the public domain. And what a website you have. Anyway, so this is your recommendation. Short story by Evan C. Short review, sorry, by Evan C. Lewis. Good horror explores what we know we fear. Great horror explores what we don't even realize we fear. What a quote. Sharks and heights and psychopaths lend well to movies. They are fears sparked by what we see, the wide jaw of the shark and the psychopath jumping out from behind the shadows. But books do best when they describe a feeling much more existential and abstract. That's profound. That's a good point. I'm not proud. It's an astute point, isn't it? Yeah. The Nothing Equation brings up a novel fear of nothing. Just that. Nothing. It can be interpreted as a physical fear, particularly a fear of emptiness like agoraphobia, the fear of open spaces. Astrophobia is the fear of space, the kind above Earth, and thalassophobia, the fear of the open sea. This fear preys upon a sense that you will turn around to find something behind or below you, and is compounded in the story by the protagonist being forced to live in a bubble. Live in a bubble with windows on all sides. But there is also a psychological fear of nothing, as in nothing with a capital N. Loneliness, paranoia with your own thoughts. Even simple boredom. And this is where the book excels, without the need for images, perhaps even benefiting from the lack. Oh my God, have I got the hiccups? If I got the hiccups, this is going to be a short stream or an extremely amusing one for you. When I get hiccups, they go for a long time. Okay, don't get the hiccups. And now that I'm saying don't get the hiccups, I'm going to get the hiccups. I'm stressing now. Don't stress about it, because if I stress about it, I'm going to have hiccups for longer. Okay, just chill. Okay. What's Tom Godwin's deal? Tom Godwin. It's mostly sci-fi. He also writes adventure, a tiny bit of tragedy, and a bit of horror. So they go well together. Adventure and horror tragedy. Horror sci-fi, sorry. Experimental, psychological, interplanetary science fiction. Okay. We probably have to read some of his stuff. He was a semi-professional author who wrote science fiction stories for various American magazines. His stories are focused on the internal struggles of his characters, with the science fiction world used to set up unconventional and extreme problems for them. His short story, The Cold Equations, a story on a man forced to sacrifice a young girl or die, won several awards and has been adapted by television and radio. Really? How long's that one? We might have to put that on the list. 10,000 words. Okay, we're going to have to do that another day. So he was born in 1915, 3 years before my grandmother. There you go. In the USA. Died in 1980. Yeah, okay. Right. The decade I was born in. There we go. Okay. Let's read the other one. Maybe we'll have to come back to Tom Godwin. Sci-fi horror. Okay, let's set up our Audacity. Here we go. Get something on the board and see what it sounds like. I mean, it sounds okay. Right, so I'm going to get my mic where I need it. Okay. I think I'd like to talk in a little bit of a lower voice tonight and relax into it a little bit. So I'm just starting to hype down, or, what's the word? Relax. Once or twice I've experimented with being semi-reclined while I read, and I actually get a really different sound out of my voice. So maybe we should do that tonight, just to see. I'm going to turn up my de-esser to 66%. I'm going to turn on my mouth declicker. I don't think I'm doing anything special tonight in terms of getting rid of my mouth noises. I think they're quite present, so I'll put that up to 70%. I'll also put on the spectrogram, the multi-view, so I can see the spectrogram. Okay. And right. I think we're pretty much good to go. All things going well, we should be out of here before 1 a.m. Geez, I'd like that. Okie dokie. Right. I'm looking around the microphone to see over there. Okay. You guys think, like, I'm looking at the angle on the camera. It looks to you like the microphone is actually below the level of my mouth, which is not usually where I would recommend having it, based on my experience. But in fact, because of the camera angle, you're seeing it different to how it is. My mouth is actually level with just the bottom of the mic. But I'm about to change that anyway, because we're going to go semi-reclined. I found that semi-reclining takes some of the weight off my... I don't know, like, it feels just more like I'm more weightless, and that seems to affect my voice a little bit in a different way. See, I'm not, like, way down. Right. It also means a very different effect on the reading itself. Oh my god, that's low. Okay. All right, guys, are you ready? Okay, good habits. We're just going to save our work before we go. And this work is called the nothing equation. Okay, the nothing equation. Let's go. The nothing equation. Roar. Raw. 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 The nothing equation. The cruiser vanished back into hyperspace, and he was alone in the observation bubble, 10,000 light years beyond the galaxy's outermost sun. Sounds good in American accent, even though my American accent is pretty diabolically generic and bad. But I think I'll stay with my own voice. I like my voice. I just muck around. I like accents. I like mucking around with accents. All right. Okay. I also think I'm going to probably stop saying, like, this channel is for my sons. I was thinking about it on the way home from work today, and I was like, I should stop saying in videos, this is just a reminder, this channel is dedicated to my two sons, and then start talking to you guys like boys, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. I think I'm just going to start getting straight to that bit. I don't think it's making any difference in terms of engagement. I mean, I don't know. I don't really look too much into that with this channel. I'm just doing it for you guys. So why aren't I just pretending it's just for you? Like, anyway. I mean, I just want people to know that, like, there is a story coming. It's not just for, like, you guys. It's also able to be enjoyed by anyone. They're welcome to come along for the journey. But I'm definitely going to start making this a little bit more you-oriented if I can help it. Okay. All right. Okay. Welcome back to Boring Dad Sleep Stories. Today we're going to read The Nothing Equation by Tom Godwin. This was published in 1957 in Amazing Stories, Volume 32, Number 12. Hang on, I'm just going to turn this off a bit. There we go. Volume 32, Number 12. Boys, this is a sci-fi horror, so just be prepared to be scared. I definitely think this is going to be... No, that's weird. I don't actually know what it's going to be about, so why don't I just stop pretending? Sorry, I think that's, yeah, I shouldn't pretend I know what I'm going to read. Okay, right. What should I say then?
Volume 32, number 12.
Boys, never read this before, never experienced Tom Godwin, but looking forward to discovering this with you.
Volume 32,
That's weird.
number 12.
Boys, this is the first time I've ever read this before, so let's discover this together. Alrighty. Love you. So much. Avanti. The cruiser vanished back into hyperspace, and he was alone in the observation bubble, 10,000 light years beyond the galaxy's outermost sun. He looked out the windows at the gigantic
Is beyond the galaxy's
outermost sun. He looked out the windows at the gigantic
is beyond the galaxy's outermost sun.
He looked out the windows at the gigantic sea of emptiness around him and wondered again what the danger had been that had so terrified the men before him. Of one thing he was already certain. He would find that nothing was waiting outside the bubble to kill him. The first bubble attendant had committed suicide, and the second was a mindless maniac on the earthbound cruiser, but it must have been something inside the bubble that had caused it. Or else they had imagined it all. He went across the small room, his magnetized soles loud on the thin metal floor in the bubble's silence. He sat down in the single chair, his weight very slight in the feeble artificial gravity, and reviewed the known facts. The bubble was a project of Earth's Galactic Observation Bureau. Observation?
And reviewed the known facts.
The bubble was a project of Earth's galactic... Okay, no, I need a drink. I'm fighting my tongue. You guys can't see what I can see, like how I'm actually sat, but I'm nearly at a 45-degree angle here. It's a weird situation. Right, okay. Let's do this. Okay.
And reviewed the known facts.
The bubble was a project...
And reviewed the known facts.
The first time you mention a concept, a person, or a place, like you should really put a little, not a huge emphasis, not like the bubble, but you should be like, just make sure that the listener can hear what the thing is for the first time.
And reviewed the known facts.
The bubble was a project of Earth's Galactic Observation Bureau, positioned there to gather data from observations that could not be made from within the galaxy. Since metallic mass affected the hypersensitive instruments, the bubble had been made as small and light as possible. It was for that reason that it could accommodate... Too much.
Made as small and light as possible.
It was for that reason that it could...
Been made as small and light as possible.
It was for that reason that it could accommodate only one attendant. The Bureau had selected Horn as the bubble's first attendant, and the cruiser left him there for his 6 months period of duty. Left him
there for his 6 months period of...
Wait, is Horn the guy? Yes, this must be the guy. Okay, so once again, first time we're really learning his name, so I need to be just paying a little more attention to that.
And the cruiser left...
Okay, here we go.
That it could accommodate only one attendant.
The Bureau had selected Horn as the bubble's first attendant, and the cruiser left him there for his 6 months period of duty. When it made its scheduled return with his replacement, he was found dead from a tremendous overdose of sleeping pills. On the table was his daily report log and his last entry, made 3 months before. I haven't attended to the instrument. I want to make it.
On the table was his daily report log. From a tremendous overdose of sleeping pills.
On the table was his daily report log and his last entry made 3 months before. I haven't attended to the instruments for a long time because it hates us and doesn't want us here. It hates me the most of all and keeps trying to get into the bubble to kill me. I can hear it whenever I stop and listen, and I know it won't be long. I'm afraid of it, and I want to be asleep when it comes. But I'll have to make it soon because I only...
But I want to be asleep when it comes.
But I want... What? Sorry, I was looking at something else. But I'll have to make it soon, because I have only 20 sleeping pills left, and if... The sentence was never finished. According to the temperature recording instruments in the bubble, his body ceased radiating heat that same night. The bubble was clean, fumigated, and inspected inside and out. No sign of any inimical.
But I want to be asleep when it comes.
Oh, whoops. I don't want to go that far back. Okay.
And inspect. Radiating heat that same night.
The bubble was cleaned, fumigated, and inspected inside and out. No sign of any inimical entity or force could be found. Silverman was Horn's replacement. When the cruiser returned 6 months later, bringing him...
entity or force could be found.
Silverman was Horn's replacement. When the cruiser returned 6 months later, bringing him, Green, to be Silverman's replacement, Silverman was completely insane. He babbled about something that had been waiting outside the bubble. Oh, so Green is the guy, right?
Inimical entity or force could be found.
Silverman was Horn's replacement. When the cruiser returned 6 months later, bringing him, Green, to be Silverman's replacement, Silverman was completely insane. He babbled about something that had been waiting outside the bubble to kill him. But his nearest to a rational statement was to say once, when asked for
But his nearest to a rational statement
was to say once, when asked for the 100th time what he had seen. Nothing. You can't really see it, but you feel it watching you, and you hear it trying to get in to kill you. One time I bumped the wall, and for God's sake, take me away from it, take me back to Earth. Then he had tried to hide under the captain's desk, and the ship's doctor had led him away. The bubble was minutely examined again, and the cruiser employed every detector device it possessed to search surrounding space for light years in all directions. Nothing was found. When it was time for the new...
Nothing was found.
When it was time for the new replacement to be transferred to the bubble, he reported to Captain McDowell. "Everything is ready, Green," McDowell said. "You are the next one."
McDowell said, "You were the next one."
His shaggy gray eyebrows met in a scowl. "It would have been better if they would have let me..."
McDowell said, "You were the next one."
I'm going to make him a bit more shaggy.
He reported
A bit more
to
rough.
McDowell.
"Everything is ready, Green," McDowell said. "You're the next one." His shaggy gray eyebrows met in a scowl. It would have been...
His shaggy grey eyebrows met in a scowl.
It would be better if they would let me...
His shaggy grey eyebrows met in a scowl.
It would be better if they'd let me select the replacement instead of them. He flushed with a touch of resentment and said, "The Bureau found my intelligence and initiative of thought Oh, wait, that's Green."
Shaggy grey eyebrows met in a scowl.
He flushed with a Oh, wait, whoops.
His shaggy grey eyebrows met in a scowl.
It would be better if they would let me select the replacement instead of them. He flushed with a touch of resentment and said, "The Bureau found my intelligence and initiative of thought satisfactory." "I know. The characteristics you don't need. I know.
Intelligence and initiative.
I know.
Thought satisfactory.
I know. The characteristics you don't need. What they ought to have is somebody like one of my engine room roustabouts. Too ignorant to get scared and too dumb to go nuts. Huh. Then we could get a sane report 6 months from now, instead of the ravings of a maniac. I suggest, he said stiffly, that you reserve judgment until that time comes, sir.
Reserve judgment until that time comes, sir. Of judgment until that time comes, sir.
And that was all he knew about the danger, real or imaginary, that had driven 2 men into insanity. He would have 6 months in which to find the answer. 6 months minus. He looked at the... Oh, wait.
That had driven 2 men into insanity.
He would have 6 months in which to find the answer. 6 months minus... He looked at the chronometer and saw that 20 minutes had passed since he left the cruiser. Somehow it seemed much longer. He moved to light a cigarette, and his metal soles scraped the floor with the same startling loudness he had noticed before. The bubble was as silent as a tomb. It was not much larger than a tomb. A sphere 18 feet in diameter, made of thin sheet metal and crisscrossed outside with narrow reinforcing girders to keep the internal air pressure from rupturing it. The floor under him was 6 feet up from the sphere's bottom, and the space beneath held the air regenerator and waste converter units, the storage batteries, and the food cabinets. The compartment in which he sat contained chair, table, a narrow cot, banks of dials, a remote control panel for operating the instruments mounted outside the hull, a microfilm projector, and a pair of exerciser springs attached to one wall. Whew, breathe, man, breathe.
Microfilm projector.
Microfilm?
For operating the instruments mounted out.
I think I need to start that sentence again.
Table, a narrow cot. The compartment, storage batteries, and the food cabinets.
The compartment in which he sat contained chair, table, a narrow cot, banks of dials, a remote control panel for operating the instruments mounted outside the hull, a microfilm projector, and a pair of exerciser springs attached to one wall. That was all. There was no means of communication, since a hyperspace communicator would have affected the delicate instruments with its radiations. But there was a small microfilm library to go with the projector so that he would
have affected the delicate instruments with its radiations.
But there was a small microfilm library to go with the projector so that he should be able to pass away the time pleasantly enough. But it was not the fear of boredom that was behind the apprehension he could already feel touching his mind. It had not been boredom that had turned Horn into a suicide, and Silverman into... Something cracked sharply behind him, like a gunshot in the stillness, and he leaped to his feet, whirling to face it. It was only a metal reel of data tape that had dropped out of the spectrum analyzer into the storage tray. His heart was thumping. Click.
It was only a metal
Mouth
reel
noise.
of data tape.
That was a
Leaped
big-ass
to his
mouth
feet,
noise.
whirling to face it.
It was only a metal reel of data tape that had dropped out of the spectrum analyzer. Spectrum analyzer. I'm so critical. I shouldn't be that critical. Just chill out, bro. All right. This is a classic setup. This is great. See, now voice has completely changed from the water.
He leaped to his feet, whirling to face it.
It was only a metal reel of data tape that had dropped out of the spectrum analyzer into the storage tray. His heart was thumping fast, and his attempt to laugh at his nervousness sounded hollow and mirthless. Something inside or outside the bubble had driven 2 men insane with its threat, and now that he was irrevocably exiled in the bubble himself, He could no longer dismiss their fear as products of their imagination. Both of them had been rational, intelligent men, as carefully selected by the Observation Bureau as he had been. He set in to search the bubble, overlooking nothing. When he crawled down into the lower compartment, he hesitated, then opened the longest blade of his knife before searching among the dark recesses down there. He found nothing, not even a speck of dust. Back in his chair again, he began to doubt his first conviction. Perhaps there really had been some kind of an invisible force or entity outside the bubble. Both Horn and Silverman had said that it had tried to get in to kill them. They had been very definite about that part. Spooky! It actually is really spooky. This is great.
Definite about that part.
There were 6 windows around the bubble's walls, set there to enable the attendant to see all the outside mounted. There were 6 windows around the bubble's walls, set there to enable the attendant to see all the outside mounted instruments and dials. He went to them to look out, one by one, and from all of them he saw the same vast emptiness that surrounded him. The galaxy, his galaxy, was so far away that its stars were like dust. In the other directions of the empty...
Far away that the stars were like dust.
In the other directions, the empty gulf was so wide that galaxies and clusters of galaxies were tiny, feeble specks of light shining across it. All around him was a void so huge that galaxies were only specks in it. Who could know what forces or dangers might be waiting out there? A light blinked, reminding him it was time to attend his duties. The job required an hour, and he was nervous and not yet hungry when he had finished. He went to the exerciser springs on the wall and performed a workout that left him tired and sweating, but which at least gave him a small appetite. The day passed, and the next. He made another search of the bubble's interior with the same results as before. He felt almost sure, then, that there was nothing in the bubble with him. He established a routine of work, pastime, and sleep that made the first week pass fairly comfortably, but for the gnawing worry in his mind that something invisible was lurking just outside the windows. Then one day, he accidentally kicked the wall with his metal shoe tip. It made a sound like that from kicking a tight-stretched section of tin, and it seemed to give him a little... Oh, wait, well...
The wall with his metal shoe tip.
It made a sound like that from kicking a tight-stretched section of tin, and it seemed to him it gave a little from the impact, as tin would do. He realized for the first time how thin it was, how deadly, dangerously thin. According to the specifications he had read, it was only 1/16 of an inch thick. It was as thin as cardboard. He sat down with pencil and paper and began calculating. The bubble had a surface area of 146,500 square inches, and the internal air pressure was 14 pounds. Blah, 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 blah. I am a robot.
With pencil and paper and began calculating.
The bubble had a surface area of 146,500 square inches, and the internal air pressure was 14 pounds to the square inch, which meant that the thin metal skin contained a total pressure of 2,051,000 pounds. 2 million pounds. The bubble in which he sat. What was that?
51,000 pounds.
2 million pounds. The bubble in which he sat was a bomb, waiting to explode the instant any section of the thin metal weakened. It was supposed to be an alloy so extremely strong that it had a high safety factor, but he could not believe that any metal so thin could be so strong. Why am I reading like this?
The instant any section of the thin metal weakened.
It was supposed to be an alloy so extremely strong.
The instant any section of the
Mouth
thin
click.
metal weakened.
It was supposed to be an alloy so extremely strong that it had high.
The instant any section of the thin metal weakened.
It was supposed to be an alloy so extremely strong that it had a high safety factor, but he could not believe that any metal so thin could be so strong. It was all right for engineers sitting safely on Earth to speak of high safety factors, but his life depended upon the fragile wall not cracking. It made a lot of difference to him. No, I just made that bit up. I literally just hallucinated that line.
The instant any section of the thin metal weakened.
It was supposed to be an alloy so extremely strong that it had a high safety factor, but he could not believe that any metal so thin could be so strong. It was all right for engineers sitting safely on Earth to speak of high safety factors, but his life depended upon the fragile wall not cracking.
Thin could be so strong.
It was all right for engineers sitting safely on Earth to speak safely. Why can't I read tonight?
So strong.
It was all right for engineers sitting safely on Earth to speak of high safety factors, but his life depended upon the fragile wall not cracking. It made a lot of difference. The next day, he thought he felt the hook to which the exerciser spring was attached crack loose from where it was welded to the wall. He inspected the base of the hook closely, and there seemed to be a fine hairline fracture appearing around it. He held his ear to it, listening for any sound of a leak. It was not leaking yet, but it could commence doing so. Wait, maybe he needs to pause between holding the ear.
Hairline fracture appearing around it.
He held his ear to it, listening for any sound of a leak. It was not leaking yet, but it could commence doing so at any time. He looked out the windows at the illimitable void that was waiting to absorb his pitiful little supply of air, and he thought of the days he had hauled and jerked at the springs with all his strength, not realizing the damage he was doing. There was a sick feeling in his stomach for the rest of the day, and he returned again and again to examine the... Again?
Sick feeling in his stomach for the rest of the day.
And he returned to the... Wait, what?
Sick feeling in his stomach for the rest of the day.
And he returned again and again to examine the hairline around the hook. The next day, he discovered an even more serious threat. The thin skin of the bubble had been spot welded to the outside reinforcing girders. Such welding often created hard, brittle spots that would
Welded to the outside reinforcing girders. He discovered an even more serious threat.
The thin skin of the bubble had been spot welded, not spot welded.
More serious threat.
The thin skin of the bubble had been spot welded to the outside reinforcing girders. Such welding often created hard, brittle spots that would soon crystallize from continued movement. And there was a slight temperature difference in the bubble between his working and sleeping hours that would... It's hot in here now. And there was a slight temperature difference.
That would soon crystallize from continued movement.
And there was a slight temperature difference in the bubble between his working and sleeping hours that would produce... Oh, damn.
Would soon crystallize from continued movement.
And there was a slight temperature difference in the bubble between his working and sleeping hours that would daily produce a contraction and expansion of the skin, especially when he used the little cooking burner. He quit using the burner for any purpose and began a daily inspection of every square inch of the bubble's walls, marking with white chalk all the welding spots that appeared to be definitely weakened. Each day, he found more to mark, and soon the little white circles were scattered across the walls wherever he looked. When he was not working at examining the walls, he could feel the windows watching him like staring eyes. Out of self-defense, he would have
him like staring eyes.
Out of self-defense, he would have to go to them and stare back at the emptiness. Space was alien. Coldly, deadly alien. He was a tiny spark of life in a hostile sea of nothing, and there was no one to help him. The nothing outside was waiting day and night for the most infinitesimal leak or crack in the walls, the nothing that had been waiting out there since time without beginning and would wait for time without end. Sometimes he would touch his finger to the wall and think, death is out there, only 1/16 of an inch away. His first fears became a black and terrible conviction. The bubble could not continue to resist the attack for long. It had already lasted longer than it should have. 2,000,000 pounds of pressure wanted out, and all the sucking nothing of intergalactic space wanted in. And only a thin skin of metal, rotten with brittle welding spots, stood between them. It wanted in. The nothing wanted in. He knew, then, that Horn and Silverman had not been insane. It wanted in, and someday it would get in. When it did, it would explode him and jerk out that.
Would get in. When it did,
it would explode him and jerk out his guts and lungs. Not until that happened. Not until the nothing filled the bubble and enclosed his hideous, turned inside-out body would it ever be content. He had long since quit wearing the magnetized shoes, afraid the vibration of them would weaken the bubble still more. And he began noticing sections where the bubble did not seem to be perfectly concave, as though the rolling mill had pressed the metal too thin in places, and it was swelling out.
As though the perfectly concave.
As though the rolling mill had pressed the metal too thin in places, and it was swelling out like an overinflated balloon. He could not remember when he had last attended to the instruments. Nothing was important but the danger that surrounded him. He knew the danger was rapidly increasing because whenever he pressed his ear to the wall, he could hear the
Important, but the danger that surrounded him.
He knew the danger was rapidly increasing because whenever he pressed his ear to the wall, he could hear the almost inaudible tickings and vibrations as the bubble's skin contracted or expanded, and the nothing tapped and searched with its empty fingers for a flaw or crack that it could tear into a leak. I don't think I had this fear, and now I think I'm getting this fear. This is intense. Like I'm feeling like that about this, like, I'm like, oh jeez, I'm having a stroke. No, this is crazy. I'm feeling it build. Let's keep building.
That it could tear
To a leak. But the windows were far the worst, with the nothing staring in at him day and night. There was no escape from it. He could feel it watching him, malignant and gloating, even when he hid his eyes in his hands. The time came when he could stand it. When he could stand it no longer, Sonny. Sorry, didn't mean to ruin the mood. The time came when he could stand it no longer. The cot had a blanket, and he used that, together with all his spare clothes, to make a tent stretching from the table to the first instrument panel. When he crawled under it, he found that the lower half of one window could still see him. Breathe, man. When he crawled under it, he found that the lower half... When he crawled under it, he found that the lower half of one window could still see him. He used the clothes he was wearing to finish the job, and it was much better than hiding there in the concealing darkness, where the nothing could not see him. He did not mind going naked. The temperature regulators in the bubble never let it get too cold. He had no conception of time from then on. He emerged only when necessary to bring more food into his tent. He could still hear the nothing, tapping and sucking in its ceaseless search for a floor, and he made such emergences as brief as possible, wishing that he did not have to come out at all. Maybe if he could hide in his tent for a long time and never make a sound, it would get tired and go away. Sometimes he thought of the cruiser and wished they would come for him. But most of the time, he thought of the thing that was outside, trying to get in, to kill him. When the strain became too great, When the strain became too great, he would draw himself up in the position he had once occupied in his mother's womb and pretend he had never left Earth. It was easier there. But always, before very long, the bubble would tick or whisper, and he would freeze in terror, thinking, this time it's coming in. Then one day, suddenly, 2 men were peering under his tent at him. At him. At him. At him. 2 men were peering. I think this is a good time to allow a bit of a voice change. Sorry about that.
Time, it's coming in.
Then, one day, suddenly, 2 men were peering under his tent at him. One of them said, "My God, again!" And he wondered what he meant. But they were very nice to him and helped him put on his clothes. Later, in the cruiser, everything was hazy, and they kept asking him what he was afraid of. What was it? What did you find? He tried hard to think so he could explain it. It was nothing. What were you and Horn and Silverman afraid of? What was it? The voice demanded insistently. I told you, he said. Nothing. They just stared at him.
Told you, he said. Nothing.
They stared at him, and the haziness cleared a little as he saw they did not understand. He wanted them to believe him because what he told them was so very true. True. Speak the words.
Little as he saw they did not understand.
He wanted them to believe him because what he told them was so very true. It wanted to kill us. Please, can't you believe me? It was waiting outside the bubble to kill us. But they kept staring, and he knew they didn't believe him.
The bubble.
Mouth click.
To kill us.
But they kept staring, and he knew they didn't believe him. They didn't want to believe him. Everything turned hazy again, and he started to cry. He was glad when the doctor took his hand to lead him away. The bubble was carefully inspected, inside and out, and nothing was found. When it was time for Green's replacement to be transferred to it, Larkin reported to Captain McDowell. "Everything is ready. Wait."
Larkin reported to Captain McDowell.
"Everything is ready, Larkin," McDowell said. "You're the next one. I wish we knew what the danger is."
Larkin reported to Captain McDowell.
"Everything is ready, Larkin," McDowell said. "You're the next one. I wish we knew what the danger is." He scowled. "I still think one of my roustabouts from the engine room might give us a sane report 6 months from now, instead of the babblings we'll get from you." He felt his face flush, and he said, stiffly, "I suggest, sir, that you not jump to conclusions until that time comes."
That you not jump to conclusions. Flush, and he said, stiffly,
"I suggest, sir, that you not jump to conclusions until that time comes." The cruiser vanished back into hyperspace, and he was alone inside the observation bubble 10,000 light-years beyond the galaxy's outermost sun. He looked out the windows at the gigantic sea. Gigantic? Why can't I say gigantic tonight?
beyond the galaxy.
Great word. Wrong word. He looked out the windows at the gigantic sea of emptiness around him and wondered again what the danger had been that had so terrified the men before him. Of one thing he was already certain. He would find that nothing was waiting outside of the bubble to kill him.
He would find that nothing was waiting outside the bubble to kill him.
Let's do a couple of test reads of that last sentence. Of one thing he was already certain. He would find that nothing was waiting outside the bubble to kill him. He would find that nothing was waiting outside the bubble to kill him. He would find that nothing was waiting outside the bubble to kill him. Okay, wake up. So, I'm reaching the end of my tether here, boys. Just storytelling-wise, I'm fine.
Of one thing he so terrified the men before him.
Of one thing, he was already certain. He would find that nothing. He would find that nothing.
Terrified the men before
Damn it.
him.
Of one thing he was already certain. He would find that nothing was waiting outside the bubble to kill him. That's pretty good. Let's clip that. All right. Save that. Sit up. Apologies for the sound effects. Actually, I'm not apologizing for that. I like the sound effects. Okay. Temperature's up. Humidity is definitely up. We're at 33 degrees. Okay. So, you know what that means. Time to decompress, but what if there's nothing out there? No, I'm good. Okay, so I'm going to chuck the fan on. I don't think I've got any color on today. Let's, what color should we have today? Whoa! Should have done this about an hour and a half ago, or however long we've been doing this. What about Mummy's favorite color? Oh wait, not you. I'm pointing it at you. Here we go. Here we go. So, let's turn the fan on. Take it nice and easy tonight. We're just trying to get through. Oh, wow. It must have been hot in here, because that's just blowing hot, like disgustingly hot air at me. Like, it's not disgusting, it's like just really hot. Okay, now it's cycling through, because like you can feel it's such a small room that like it'll blow the hot air out, and then you can feel the vacuum that it creates pulling the air in at the bottom of the door, and that pulls it up and around. It creates its own little circulation. It's great. Like, I know it's not fancy, it's just a fan, but like it'll do the trick. It's a little fan like that big. Okay, about 20 centimeters across. Righto, let's do this. Wait, oops. Okay, I'm gonna get the microphone not out of the way, but there we go. At least now I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that is only just under 22 minutes long. We're going to do our usual things where we do. I'm not going to do an ACX check. What's the point? We already know that it's going to be wrong. Oh. Yesterday's stream, I realized afterwards that the reason it was clipping was not so much that I was yelling into the microphone. I wasn't even yelling, but it was when I was narrating him being Zapoykin, whatever his name was, Zapoykin, in Anton Chekhov's story, The Orator. I think it was doing that because that's done the macro to do the levels for me. I know it's probably not a purist way to do it. I know I probably should pay individual attention to, peaks and RMS and sound floor, but I just do it with the macro. We're going to combine it all into one. Yep, looking good. I'm not going to proof listen to it. I probably should, but I'm not going to. And now I'm going to use my noise removal and repair, get the noise profile from that, and now I'm going to decrease the sound floor, just like the other two streams. If you want to go and check out what that's about, boys, go and check that out. But hopefully at some point you've taken a passing interest to the point where I can teach you this basic stuff, and you can do this kind of stuff too. It's a fun little skill to have. And it can earn you a bit of money on the side if you ever want to do some voiceover and people want to hire you. I haven't really worked at that for a while, but it's kind of what paid for all this recording equipment. And then some. Helped to pay a few bills, all that kind of stuff. It's a fun little side hustle. I enjoy it. I don't know if I'm not trying to be modest or anything. I don't know if I'm any good at it, but I just have a good time doing it, Okay. We're going to... There we go. Oh, crikey. Too far. So, before I was saying, I think that the reason it was clipping yesterday, as in going too loud above 0 decibels, was because I had turned up the volume of the mic manually using the, what is this thing called? Well, the hub, the Vocaster hub, the audio interface is called the Vocaster. I've got a Vocaster 2. You can use it for podcasting with another microphone and stuff like that. But I think I turned up the gain in that too much. And so then when I added extra emphasis and volume, when I added all that stuff, I think I overdid it. So I think that's what it was. Now we're going to just check the levels, because the noise floor needs to, I like to have it below like 75. It's 73 at the moment. Maybe a bit of hiss would actually add to the atmos of this, because it's in deep space and there's the sound of nothing. Well, no, maybe it needs to definitely be the sound of nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like he's worried about nothing with a capital N. What's N in sign language in Auslan? That. So maybe we need to hear silence in the pauses, not a hiss, right? If I was really getting into this, and I was spending multiple sessions on one recording, what I would do is I would I would add some backing tracks. In this one in particular, I'd add a really subtle thing. I'd probably have like your space sounds, like your space station-y sounds, like blip bloop, like background instruments. Footsteps. It mentions footsteps, so I'd be using footsteps on metal flooring, stuff like that. Really easy stuff to find. Just applying it would be an extra like 45 minutes work for something this long, at least 45 minutes work to an hour. But then what I would do is when he kicks his toe, I would probably start reducing the volume of everything, / I maybe would just have silence from then on, or silence from the first time that he hears, like the nothingness. And then at the end, when they find him, like have it as though the hearing's coming back, like you're turning the hearing aid up again, so it's like, that'd be cool. I'm not going to do it, but that's what I'd do. If I ever get the mood again, I'll do it. I do it for some things. I did it for, what was it called? We Are Not Alone or something by, what's his name? Crimper Books guy. The awesome guy, the awesome indie author that we use sometimes for Do Not Feed the Troll and Sugar the Robot and We Are Many. We Are Many. It's called We Are Many. Go check it out. I've used sound effects. That editing took like a good 3 hours just for the sounds. The actual recording took like less than an hour. It was easy, but yeah, the edits. Oh my gosh, worth it though. I love that one. It's pretty cool, fun, with a capital F. Right. So I'm gonna save that. Let's check album noise for now. It should be like 79. Yep, minus 79.02. When you're right, you're right. When you know, you know, you know. Okay, save that. Export. Now we get to the business end of things. We're going to, export it as an MP3 using a sample rate of 44,100 hertz. Or kilohertz? Is that kilohertz or just hertz? Hertz, I think. I don't know what the bit rate is. I could check that, but I'm not going to. And quality is about 190-ish, 190 kilobytes per second. It's enough to make it sound okay, I think, anyway. Doesn't need to be excessive. Okay, we're getting to the business end. Am I still streaming? Yeah, turns out I am. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to quickly grab up Microsoft Paint. We're going to grab up the text. And we've got to find the quote. I mean, it seems obvious to me that the quote should be like something about the word nothing, have the word nothing in it. It's called the nothing equation, you know. Then those two things match up. This one's going to go viral. Definitely. I might even get 10 views. He went across the small room, his magnetized soles on the thin metal floor. Nothing was found. That's good. Nothing was found. I love it. Nothing could not. The nothing could not see him. That's good. The nothing could not see him. Nothing was waiting outside. The bubble to kill him. Seems too long. Nothing was waiting outside. The nothing could not see him. kind of like the nothing could not see him, but then you could also say nothing was waiting outside. But I think the nothing could not see him, or nothing could not see him, is kind of chilling in a way, isn't it? Okay, I think that would have finished exporting by now. Yep, we'll just do a little click through. I'll do that in the video editing software, which you can't see. Okie dokie, fellas. We're just going to open up CapCut. I use CapCut Pro, and I just am edging away from wanting to use it because I'm paying for it. Pardon me, what was that? That's me. Oh, my body telling me in one of many ways to go to sleep. That's what that is. Right. Sleep stories. The nothing equation. Raw. Okay, I'm going to drag this from the File Explorer, or Windows Explorer, whatever you call it, not Windows Explorer, into the CapCut. Let's just do a quick check.
Welcome back to Boring Dad Sleep Stories. Today.
Hang on.
Welcome back to Boring Dad Sleep Stories. Today we're going to read The Nothing Equation by Tom Godwin. This was published in 1957 in Amazing Stories, Volume 32, Number 12. Boys,
Fair bit of
this
mouth
is the first
noise.
time I've ever read this before, so let's discover this together. Alrighty.
The first time I've ever read this before, I don't think that makes any sense, like grammatically speaking. So I'm going to just take that bit out. Boys, this is the first time I've ever read this before.
Before.
Yeah, I'm going to cut that out.
Before.
Let's see what that does.
Ever read this, so let's. Ever read this, so let's.
This could get dodgy.
This.
Real quick.
Read this, so let's discover this together. Ever read this, so let's discover.
I don't like that. Nah, I'll just leave it as it is. Let's just say it's a charming, quaint way to say it.
This is the first time I've ever read this before, so let's discover this together. Alrighty. Love you. So much. Love you.
I might take out the alrighty. Alright. My own shame. I don't mind it, but it doesn't. What is wrong? I don't know. I have no reason.
So let's discover this together. Love you. So much. Avanti. The cruiser vanished back into hyperspace, and he was alone in the observation bubble, 10,000 light years beyond the galaxy's outermost, with a touch of resentment, and said, "The Bureau found my intelligence and initiative of thought satisfactory. I know the characteristics you don't need. What they ought to have is for a film library, to go with the projector, so that he should be able to pop. It was so far away that its stars were like dust. In the other direction, especially when he used the little cooking burner. He quit using the burner for any purpose. Then, that Horn and Silverman had not been insane. Ice to him and helped him put on his clothes. Later, in the cruiser, everything was hazy, and nothing was waiting outside the bubble to kill him. Might give us a sane report 6 months from now, instead of the babblings we'll get from you." He felt his face flush, and he said, stiffly, "I suggest, sir, that you not jump to conclusions until that time comes." The cruiser vanished back into hyperspace, and he was alone inside the observation bubble 10,000 light years beyond the galaxy's outermost sun. He looked out the windows at the gigantic sea of emptiness around him, and wondered again what the danger had been that had so terrified the men before him. Of one thing he was already certain. He would find that nothing was waiting outside the bubble to kill him.
Nice. It'll do the trick. Let's export that. It's called the nothing equation. We're going to transport it in 720. It's 803 megabytes, which is a lot for me. It's not for anyone else, I don't think. I'm not going to do HD though at this point. Right, okay, we're going to do the quote. Nothing was waiting outside. No, what was it again? Nothing. Maybe I should call it. Maybe I could. What if I go? Maybe if you could hide. Maybe if he could hide. Or it was going to be the nothing could not see him. Maybe if he could hide. Why not? I think that's okay. Okay, let's get writing. Can you guys see this? Let's see. You should be able to. Yeah, great. Alright. Okay. We're going to switch to a calligraphy brush. 15 pixels. Wait a minute. There it is. Okay. What was it again? Maybe if he could hide. Maybe if he could hide. It's nice to be silent after so much noise. Maybe. If he could. Can I scroll down on this? Yeah, I can. Oh, amazing. That's not good. Okay. There's a mosquito in here. You know how much that gets to me, boys. Okay. Maybe if I do like a dot, dot, dot. The dread. Okay, maybe if you could hide, do my quotation marks down the bottom. I don't like that quotation mark. Okay, because I go... They don't match. Come on, how did I do it the other day? Yeah. Nah, that was too blasé. I got too confident. That'll do. Alrighty, now I get the cut tool and I'm going to cut it out. Cut it out, you lot. Alright, okay, copy that. I'm going to put that here, by the way. Alright. Gonna move this all down. Oh, this mosquito. Come on. Nope. Alright. Okay, we're gonna put this down here. You know, can I get a whoop whoop? Okay, no, can I get a flip? I'm gonna flip that over. I'm gonna flip that this way a bit too. Just a little. Alright. And I think I'm gonna... Mosquito! How? I don't know what it is. I cannot get them in here. 15 megapixels. Oh, 15 pixels. Okay. Alright, okay, so...
Welcome back to Boring Dad's Deep Stories. Today we're going to read The Nothing Equation by Tom Godwin. This was published in 1957 in Amazing Stories, Volume 32, Number 12. Boys, this is the first time I've ever read this before, so let's discover this together. Love you. So much. Avanti.
And...
The cruiser vanished back into hyperspace, and he was alone in the observation bubble,
no,
10,000 light years beyond the galaxy's outermost sun.
Well, this is not usually how I listen.
He looked out the windows.
I could do a proof listen, but I'll do it.
At the gigantic sea of emptiness around him, and wondered again what the danger had been that had so terrified the men before him. Of one thing he was already certain. He would find that nothing was waiting outside the bubble to kill him. The first bubble attendant had committed suicide, and the second was a mindless maniac on the earthbound cruiser, but it must have been something inside the bubble that had caused it. Or else, they had imagined it all. He went across the small room, his magnetized soles loud on the thin metal floor in the bubble's silence. He sat down in the single chair, his weight very slight in the feeble artificial gravity, and reviewed the known facts. The bubble was a project of Earth's Galactic Observation Bureau, positioned there to gather data from observations that could not be made from within the galaxy. Since metallic mass affected the hypersensitive instruments, the bubble had been made as small and light as possible. It was for that reason that it could accommodate only one attendant. The Bureau had selected Horn as the bubble's first attendant, and the cruiser left him there for his 6 months period of duty. When it made its scheduled return with his replacement, he was found dead from a tremendous overdose of sleeping pills. On the table was his daily report log, and his last entry made 3 months before.
Oops.
I haven't attended to the instruments for a long time because it hates us, and doesn't want us here. It hates me the most of all, and keeps trying to get into the bubble to kill me. I can hear it whenever I stop and listen, and I know it won't be long. I'm afraid of it, and I want to be asleep when it comes. But but I'll have to make it soon, because I have only 20 sleeping pills left, and if... The sentence was never finished. According to the temperature recording instruments in the bubble, his body ceased radiating heat that same night. The bubble was cleaned, fumigated, and inspected inside and out. No sign of any inimical entity or force could be found. Silverman was Horn's replacement. When the cruiser returned 6 months later, bringing him, Green, to be Silverman's replacement, Silverman was completely insane. He babbled about something that had been waiting outside the bubble to kill him. But his nearest to a rational statement was to say once, when asked for the 100th time what he had seen, "Nothing. You can't really see it, but you feel it watching you, and you hear it trying to get in to kill you. One time I bumped the wall, and for God's sake, take me away from it, take me back to Earth." Then he had tried to hide under the captain's desk, and the ship's doctor had led him away. The bubble was minutely examined again, and the cruiser employed every detector device it possessed to search surrounding space for light years in all directions. Nothing was found.
Nothing was
When
found.
It was time for the new replacement
Get
to be
it?
transferred to the bubble. He reported to Captain McDowell. "Everything is ready, Green," McDowell said. "You're the next one." His shaggy gray eyebrows met in a scowl. "It would be better if they would let me select the replacement instead of them." He flushed with a touch of resentment and said, "The Bureau found my intelligence and initiative of thought satisfactory." "I know.
That'll do.
The characteristics you don't need. What they ought to have is..."
Okay, so we'll quit the video editor. We're going to head out now to the internet. Right. Okay. You guys have been so patient. Thank you for your patience. Okay, right. So that I've mentioned, I think last time we were here in this space, I mentioned that before midnight I'm great, and then after midnight it's like a really quick descent into terribleness. Hang on, I haven't saved it yet. That's what I'm talking about. I'm just completely out of it now. Okay, right. The nothing equation. Okay. So we quit that. I'm just going to quickly get the... Come on, mate. Boring dad sleep stories, the nothing equation. Okay, that's uploading now in a window that you can't see, but just trust me. Okay. Now we've got to quickly also make our thumbnail. I'm just talking my way through because otherwise I'll fall asleep. I'm at that point now. Oh man, I just talked too much at the start and I started too late. Your mum and I were just, we were just hanging out in the living room after your bedtime, which was better than, I say better, earlier than last night. Both of you had pretty rough days today at school and daycare. And we can pretty much guaranteed trace it down to the fact that you didn't get much sleep last night. And so what am I doing by setting an example, to set an example? Why, of course, I am not getting much sleep tonight. I will get I'll get 15 minutes extra sleep in the morning, and then after I drop you guys off to school, I'll come home and probably have about a 20-minute nap, and then I'll head out to work via some jobs that I have to do, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Right. Pictures. I'm just getting the picture of that in there. I'm going to remove the background from the text. Then I'm going to put the parchment-like background in. We're making the thumbnail now, by the way. We're using Canva tonight. Still haven't gotten around to cancelling the subscription. That'll be a day off thing. I get days off sometimes. So that will be something to look forward to, because I'm sick of giving money to people that I don't need to give money to. Maybe if he could hide. It's a good line. I mean, let's just say that it looks very organic. Let's not say that it looks like those two H's probably need to match up a little better. Yeah, let's not say that. Okay, right. Righty. So now we need to go back to the channel content. We're doing the upload now. We're going to upload the newly minted thumbnail, which has the quote, "Maybe if he could hide, dot, dot, dot." Can you guys see that still? No, you can't. Sorry. You can just see that awesome golden rain in the background. Okay, cool. So the nothing equation. Who's the author again? Who's the author? I believe it's is it Goddard? Godwin. Tom Godwin. Does he have other books, other story, like short narratives on here? The Cold Equations. So it looks like that's up for another night. This is just classic terrifying sci-fi, isn't it? The Nothing Equation, Tom Godwin. Dark screen, read along. I don't know. Read aloud? Righto. Just going to do that. Experience. Right, let's reuse the details. Oh, come on. Reuse details from that one, except for the title. Okay. Okay. Wow. I'm gonna just get the text for that, like the wow. I'm just not even talking. This is the worst live stream ever. Now, guys, I'm struggling here, eh? Like I'm really struggling to get this done. I'm gonna get the link so that you can access the story if you ever want to. At the Library of Short Stories website. I'm sure it's other places like Project Gutenberg as well. Wow, I'm so struggling here. Okay, right, let's just get this done. Hooah, hooah. Come on now. Okay, don't restrict my video to narrating. Altered content, no. No collaboration. Allow automatic chapters. Don't allow automatic places. Allow automatic concepts. And chuck in a couple of tags. Tom Godwin. The Nothing Equation. I think it's called the Nothing Equation, isn't it? Yeah, the Nothing Equation. Righto. Done. Alrighty. Don't allow remixing. Category is entertainment. Add an end screen. We're going to import that from some other video. It'll decide which video you get to look at the end, in case you want to go and binge Dad. I don't know how your day's going, but if you want to binge me, that's fine. Alright, and I'm going to publish, but I have a feeling it's still processing up to understand. I don't know, it's still processing. That's weird. It shouldn't take that long. That's weird. Okay, right. This is a live stream of me staring at a screen. Yeah, okay, cool. Right, boys, remember you'll always reminisce, and that's fine. And remember that today you're living 10 years from now, you're probably living a pretty good life according to 10 years from now version of you. If you are having a terrible time, though, and you know that you're going to look back and be like, no, Dad, actually, it was actually a pretty crap time. Look, if it's got anything to do with me, I apologize. I'm always up for a chat. And if I'm not around to chat for whatever reason, I'm not just like physically around, or I'm like, I don't know, you're not in the same area, please just call me anytime. Or Mum, or any of your relatives. We all love you guys so much. And if you can't do that for whatever reason, but you have internet access for whatever reason, or you have access to the stories, please come back anytime. Yeah. Love you guys. Yeah, so much. And that'll be it for tonight. Do people still do the peace sign when you're around watching this in the future? I wonder if it's become like a really rude symbol. Maybe peace isn't popular anymore. Doesn't feel like it at this point in 2026. Feels like people all just want to go to war with each other. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. But it's been fun escaping reality for a little while with you guys. See you, boys.